And we're going to continue this conversation because as part of these hearings was the story of detransitioners. And we are in a moment going to bring in Dr. Jennifer Bauwens. She's the director of the Center for Family Studies here at Family Research Council. She has extensive clinical and research experience working with survivors of trauma and abuse. She's also taught on psychological trauma and research methods in several graduate programs. Dr. Bauwens, good to see you today.
It's good to be back with you, Joseph.
Well, it's good to talk to you. I want to play, because part of the hearing that we just talked with our last guest about had to do with the story, whether we should pay for these surgeries with public dollars. And there was a young lady there named Chloe Cole who told a really important story. And Chloe is a detransitioner, which means in the past, she identified as it's transgender. She no longer does. But I want to play a part of what she had to say to this committee and then let you tell us a little more about what's going on with young people like her. Let's go ahead and play clip 4.
Despite having therapists and attending the top surgery class, I really didn't understand all the ramifications of any of the medical decisions I was making. I wasn't capable of understanding it, and it was downplayed consistently. No child should have to experience what I have. My consent was not informed, and I was failed by modern medicine.
Dr. Bauwens, she says that her consent was not informed. Is this a common story?
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is you really can't have informed consent as an adolescent. Your brain doesn't allow you to have informed consent, and it's not developed enough. We know from huge NIH studies and other studies that have gone on before more recent studies that adolescents aren't able to make complex decisions that require the frontal part of our brain, that most of us have adolescent experiences where we made decisions that we regret, or that we think, if I had known what I know today, I wouldn't have made that decision. Well, imagine being presented with the kinds of decisions that these young people are experiencing, to actually surgically intervene on your anatomy. Making that kind of decision at 15, 16, this is unconscionable. And it's really, it's not informed consent because they cannot physiologically make that kind of decision.
And Dr. Bauwens, I'm going to play another clip from Chloe Cole also describing her experience. And here she begins to describe what she is now aware of that she didn't really have an understanding of when she made these permanent decisions. Let's play clip 5.
I don't know if I'll be able to fully carry a child, and I might be at increased risk for certain cancers, namely cervical cancer. And because I do not have my breasts, I no longer have breasts. I'm not able to breastfeed whatever future children I have. That realization actually was one of the biggest things that led to me realizing that this was not the path that I should have taken.
Dr. Bauwens, when you hear stories like this, there are people on the other side who would look at this and say it just ultimately it doesn't matter. What is the reason that we are pushing this? And in her case, in Chloe Cole's case, we're talking about somebody who was 13, 14, 15 when this is happening, but we are transitioning children much earlier than that. Do they not understand? Do they not care? Do they not believe this story? What's going through their mind that encourages them to encourage children to make these drastic decisions?
Yeah, and the thing is that the transgender ideology is so ideologically driven, and it is, in my view, it becomes a religion. And it takes a lot of faith to believe that someone who's standing before you who is biologically female or biologically male is actually something else other than that. So this is a religion. I think some of the people who believe in it wholeheartedly. Or, there are a whole host of reasons. I mean, I don't want to just minimize it to that, but there are people that really do believe that this is the way to think about the world, and that's we have a particular worldview and they do. And the unfortunate thing is that ours is more based in reality. And the problem is, like, as your previous guest was talking about with Medicaid, who receives Medicaid? Oftentimes, these are people who do not have financial resources, oftentimes have higher rates of abuse, of childhood abuse. Of course, not everybody, but when we're talking about Medicaid recipients, that also could include foster children, and those are the ones that we are experimenting on with our public dollars. And this is what's the most tragic, is that we are targeting the very most vulnerable in our population, the ones who should be receiving help, instead of in their hour of need, when all of life may have been tragic before coming to a counselor's office or what have you. Instead, they're, like Chloe talked about, she's getting physiologically damaged and not helped. So not only is there proper treatment delayed, but there's also the physiological damage that is presented them as a treatment option.
Dr. Bauwens, I'm here in Wisconsin with 100 teenagers this week, and we're talking about leadership issues and policy issues. And I also am the father of 3 teenagers as well. And this is the one area, it seems, where in every respect, the adults are told to submit to the will and understanding and wisdom of children. Why is this the one area in which the adults are supposed to set aside all judgment, all experience, all of their knowledge and say, no, listen to your children?
Yeah. Well,
30 seconds.
Yeah, because it's ideologically driven and not fact and truth driven. So therefore, parents are threatened with children committing suicide, or threatened with this is the only way, and if you don't conform to this way, then something terrible, even worse than what we're talking about with transing, is going to happen to your child. So fear is the primary driver of this ideology, and it's very unfortunate.
That's a great note to end this on, but I think it's a really important one. This really is about fear, and we have to overcome fear with hope and with love. That's what the gospel helps us to do. Dr. Bauwens, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.